Dear Charlotte, my solid Gen X upbringing had, until recently, convinced me that I was a rather resilient individual, capable of weathering any challenge life threw my way. In the 55 years I have existed, I have survived a blizzard, a flood, an earthquake, a tornado, a hurricane, sexual assault, a mother who made Joan Crawford look loving and kind, the suicide of my only sibling, a hellacious divorce from a real narcissist, which, after 22 years of marriage, left me starting all over from scratch in middle age. I always considered myself just an average American, hard-working mother of two, wife, taxpayer, college-educated paralegal who had a successful 28-year career in the field of law. I trusted every day in that former life that if anything catastrophic outside of my control happened, I would have the benefit of the system I had paid into earnestly for 3 decades. That's who I was in America, until I just wasn't anymore. In December of 2022, while sitting at a traffic light on my way home from work one stormy evening, a man hydroplaned through the intersection and hit my car head-on. Of course, he lacked insurance, and so I was never able to fully repair the life-altering damage he caused to my body. Medical issues escalated, piggybacking off one another, until I was fully disabled with a large brain aneurysm. Eventually, I lost my job due to the injuries, and as a result, I found myself in the position of being late, for the very first time, with the ungodly rate of rent for my tiny apartment. I had 10 days to vacate before they were going to evict me. I had never been evicted and had owned my own home until I was 45 years old. It was very humiliating. So I packed up and stored my belongings and handed my keys in on the 10th day. I had become one of the 770,000 homeless Americans. By the time I found my life packed in my little car, I was living in Trump's America, and any hope I had of regaining any semblance of an independent life had vanished with his inauguration. I sold almost everything I owned, including my car, to pay for medical expenses and just survive. I applied for federal disability, waited, and prayed daily that it would come through. I had diligently and willingly contributed to our income tax and social security system for more than 35 years, and I was counting on it ultimately for my survival. Being a single woman with 2 grown sons who have their own lives, I didn't have a lot of choices. A lifelong friend opened her heart and her home to me in kindness and ensured I would not be shelterless. I applied for emergency food stamp assistance and Medicaid. That was both incredibly humiliating and defeating. They flat out denied Medicaid coverage to me because I could not meet the requirements, since the ACA passed in 2010, and which the rest of America will now have to contend with. My state was one of 10 states that refused to expand their Medicaid eligibility 15 years ago. I cannot work, volunteer, or attend educational classes for 20 hours every week. Therefore, I am not entitled to health care. I am not eligible to apply for Medicare until I've been receiving disability for 25 months, so I will be without health care for the foreseeable future. They also reduced my SNAP benefit from $278 per month to $23 per month because of the disability award. I can no longer afford to be alive in Trump's America. There is no room for me here now that I cannot engage in their system of taxation, and since I can no longer line their pockets with the fruit of my labour, they have no use for me. Nothing I have learned in my life prepared me for what has happened to my country. I wake up every day under a heavy blanket of dread, anxious at the thought of discovering what part of our constitution and humanity has died while I slept. There are moments of such surrealism now. They force one to dissociate as a means of maintaining sanity. The horror of watching our democracy crumble before our eyes, watching our constitution burn piece by piece, right by right, and feeling utterly helpless against the onslaught is indescribable. It's like standing in the middle of a train track in the face of an oncoming train, screaming at the top of your lungs it's coming, and no one listens to you, or worse yet, they laugh. I once sat so pompously in my conviction of Americans' greatness. I basked in the protective light of democracy that shone on me daily. I was fully convinced we were better than the Germans were in the 1930s. I knew it could never happen to us because, well, hey, we're America. And then the lights went out.